miss this incredible story of perseverance and triumph of a spirited little girl.
I would never lie to you.
It's Wednesday, October 2, 2024. This is CVM News at noon. I'm Ramon Gordon. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is challenging the Integrity Commission's investigation into his finances. He's accusing the Commission of overstepping its powers and breaching the Integrity Commission Act after a report questioned a $51 million increase in his net worth over 5 years. Holness says the Commission acted illegally and unfairly. Details on the fallout coming up at 7. Meanwhile, Opposition Leader Mark Golding is defending the opposition's abrupt departure from Parliament on Tuesday after he was blocked from tabling his motion of no confidence against the Prime Minister. Golding insists their action did not breach parliamentary procedures, arguing that his motion would not directly impact the Prime Minister's judicial review, challenging the recent Integrity Commission report on his statutory declarations.
We were simply tabling a no confidence motion in relation to the Prime Minister and his government, which is a very important tool available to the opposition to try and ensure that our democracy is protected when it's under threat from bad governance and other similar risks. Now, as we know, the matter of the Integrity Commission's investigation report has been a swirling issue in the public space since the report was tabled. And I heard today that the Prime Minister is seeking judicial review of various things in relation to that report. My motion wasn't going into the substance of that report. My motion was calling on the Parliament to censor the Prime Minister and to express no confidence in his government because of the fact that the Prime Minister failed to disclose that he had been under investigation for a year, over a year, by the Integrity Commission, which was in breach of the code of conduct that had been approved by Cabinet for members of Cabinet back in 2002. And that non-disclosure on his part would have undermined, in our view, the confidence and trust of the public in his leadership. And that is why we brought the no confidence motion. My motion is about the conduct of the Prime Minister in not being forthcoming with the public on matters that he knew impacted him and which he failed to disclose for over a year. And in fact, went beyond that and even imposed a gag order on his own cabinet and members saying that they should not speak to the media about anything to do with it.
And a member of Parliament for South East Clarendon, Minister Pernell Charles Jr., says that the move by the opposition leader to introduce a no-confidence motion was aimed at misleading the Jamaican people. Charles further argued that the matter is before the courts and that Golding's comments were inappropriate.
The reason why I call for a point of order is because I am clear in my view that what the opposition would seek to do is, knowing that this motion ought not to go forward, they would want anyway to read it out so that it can have the same kind of deleterious impact on the Prime Minister. The goal is not to really have the motion go forward. The goal is to continue to muddy the water and to put it
So hear this, Minister. So hear this, Minister. Sure. Someone would say to you, then why is it that the government and the deputy, why is it that the Deputy Speaker, who's not a part of the government, he should be an impartial judge, why is it that the Deputy Speaker did not allow the motion to proceed, given that the government has a supermajority on its side and would easily defeat the motion moved anyway? Why not just allow the process to run its course? Go again?
Because that, in my view, would be improper if it is that the Deputy Speaker, who had come to a decision after perusing what was the notice of motion, determined that it ought not to go forward. If it is that he determined it ought not to go forward, it would be nonsensical for him to anyway allow for a debate that would throw the issues into the public domain anyway. If it is that he did not think that it rose to the standard where it should be an exemption, then he is quite correct in ensuring that he shut it down. Once he allowed it, he would have been a contradiction to himself. So he was completely correct.
Yes.
And the reason why I stood is because I knew that what the opposition would try to do through Mark Golding is to use a backdoor approach to put the conversation and the content into the hands of that, into the public domain anyway, and I would not allow for that.
To other news now, Councillor for the Portmore Division, Dinsdale Smith, is calling on authorities to find an immediate solution to the ongoing flooding issue in Portmore Square. He says every time it rains, the situation worsens, causing knee-deep crocodile-infested water to flood the square, transforming the area into a pond. So far, the flooding has affected several business owners who, according to Smith, have had to close their doors as the flood waters continue to enter their establishments. The councillor says the situation is counterproductive to normal life.
We really have a situation here that is counterproductive to everything that is called a good life. We have businesses that are closed. Look right around me and see the shutters closed. The restaurants can't open, people can't do nothing at all for them economic life, which is a bad thing.
He says an immediate emergency measure is needed.
Any day now we can have rains like we had yesterday, and we'll be all over again. I want to know if we're going to wait until a child, a school has dropped into the water over the bridge before we do something. They're working on the road, but I'm saying right now we must find some emergency measures to take care of this. We cannot take a chance of 60 days more of being exposed to the elements like this in a square like this.
And East Hanover residents are disgruntled after dealing with poor road conditions, making daily commute very difficult. They maintain they've received little assistance from their Member of Parliament. Now, Councillor for the Chester-Castle Division, Winter McIntosh, is calling for greater attention and swift repairs to the roadways.
We are in the Adam Peace community, another community within the Chester-Castle Division, where again it's plagued with really bad road situation. Again, this was the third road that was identified from the 10 roads that I had mentioned to be repaired. So I'm now calling on the powers that be to make the necessary allocation that we can, do some repair on these roads. Yesterday, after it rained, the community citizens were marooned. They could not have gotten home. I got a number of calls that persons were marooned and council we can't get home. So I'm here today appealing on behalf of the residents of Adam Peace for the powers that be to come to their rescue.
Now out south, a fire broke out at an off-track betting location in Manville, Manchester, prompting a swift response from firefighters Wednesday morning. Reports are that the blaze started around 1:50 a.m. 2 units from the Manville Fire Station and another from Christiana responded to the blaze. Superintendent Rohan Powell provides further details.
We attacked the blaze with 2 jets. After everything was cooled down and we started our assessment, we realized that everything was totally lost. We have not yet been able to ascertain a loss figure because the investigations are incomplete. We have our investigative branch from Kingston. They're on their way en route to the scene for further investigations to continue. But we have not yet concluded the original cause of the fire.
And with that, we take a break. Our discussion segment is next.
us vibing. Jamaican quality for sure. First thing when I wake up, pour up my boat syrup. Pure water, me can't get enough. Feeling the love in the air. On the beach with my ginger beer. I'm doing low and cash. Still can't go buy one splash. Squash, load, catch up, road. Pure, have you ready for the road?
Pure products, quality for sure. No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
You know my heart goes crazy.
September 7 to December 14 on CVM TV.
Schoolboy Football, brought to you by Edgechem, AIM Financial Services, Texaco, and Connix.
Welcome back. You're watching CVM News at noon. Now to our discussion segment. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has filed an affidavit seeking to challenge several key provisions of Jamaica's anti-corruption laws, including the Integrity Commission Act and the Corruption Prevention Act. The move has sparked widespread debate and concern among legal and civil society groups, with many arguing it could undermine the country's efforts to combat corruption. To delve deeper into the implications of the Prime Minister's legal challenge, we are joined by attorney and political commentator Clyde Williams. Mr. Williams, thank you so much for joining us.
Blessed love. A pleasure to be here.
Now, to start the conversation, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is asking the court to strike down Section 14(5) of the Corruption Prevention Act, arguing that it violates the presumption of innocence. Can you, for our audience, break down what that section entails and why you think it's a key component of the anti-corruption framework?
Thank you very much for that question. That section focuses on, let me read a little bit of it, where a public servant, A, owns assets disproportionate to his lawful earnings, and B, upon being requested by the Commission or any person duly authorized to investigate an allegation of corruption against him, to provide an explanation as to how he came by such assets, he, 1, fails to do so, or 2, gives an explanation which is not considered to be satisfactory. He shall be liable to prosecution for the offense of illicit enrichment, and on conviction, he will spend some time in prison. Also very important in that offense, the law says it shall be a defense to a person charged with an offense of illicit enrichment to show the court that he came by the assets by lawful means. In short, public servants, including politicians, ministers, members of parliament, have access to an enormous amount of power, access to an enormous amount of public resources, and of course are susceptible to bribes from big business, from criminals, from small business. So the whole idea is that when you send your declaration of income and assets, and we recognize, for instance, that over the last, say, 2 months, over, say, 2-3 months, you've earned, this is an example, you've earned $20 million. But we see a declaration of $300 million in your accounts. So it raises a question as to disproportionality between what you earn, the $20 million, and your assets, over $300 million. In those circumstances, you have answers. So the Commission will ask you to explain how you have these resources. If you fail or the answer is not satisfactory, they are likely to prosecute you for illicit enrichment. It is a defense to just show that you got the things lawfully. And that is an offense right across the world. I'm going to give you some examples of some countries that have this offense as part of their... So let's go. Afghanistan, Algeria, Antigua, Argentina, Armenia, Benin, Bhutan, Bolivia, Botswana, Burkina Faso, Cambodia, Chile, China, Hong Kong, China, Macau, Colombia, Congo Democratic Republic, Congo Republic of, Cote d'Ivoire, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Egypt, El Salvador, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Lithuania, Peru, Paraguay, a whole host of countries of different kinds of legal systems, all have this offense of illicit enrichment